Hello, Internet. This is the Dreadpirate once again, and welcome to part 2 of our holiday spectacular. For those of you who've already checked out my frustrated YouTubers, YouTubers Corner, complaining about OBS, you will understand that we're doing this one in a slightly different format. Initially Jed and I ran a session of the game in question, and we lasted 2.5 hours, and we had a lot of fun. It was really great. And then I pushed the stop recording button, and it said stopping recording for a good 20 minutes. And I lost basically the majority of that 2.5 hours, unfortunately. And we got 20 minutes of it. So you will see that momentarily. But basically, unfortunately, my plan was to record us playing the game and then put it online, which is what was supposed to happen. But unfortunately, that couldn't happen. So, but let's talk about. I'm going to do my best I can to salvage this and basically show you a little bit what we did, and I'm going to basically kind of recap the experience of what went happen. So So full disclosure. So we've at this point in time, you've probably already seen Oxenius's holiday adventure, where he played Bem Shebim, Shembem of the blue hair who gives no fucks, female flutter budgets adventure, interacting with Santa Claus and fighting Darth Vader and meeting Ebenezer Scrooge and other wacky shenanigans. You've already seen that adventure. That was the main thing. And basically what happened was we were, Jed and I were going to actually do a session where we were going to play on what my Christmas gift is going to be, which is going to be, we're going to do a session where we fight the Tarrasque, which is still yet to come. That's the next thing we do. That'll be part 3, most likely. But then he got cold feet because it's a Tarrasque, and it was like he didn't want to get his ass kicked, but so he decided to cash in his gift. And his gift was, let's play F.A.T.A.L. And again, I've been telegraphing this for a long time. I've been telegraphing this for a very long time. I've wanted to play F.A.T.A.L. Live on the show. So you'll see a little bit of that. Specifically, what I wanted to do is I wanted to record us making the character sheets, making our characters, and then attempting to play the game. Why? For those of you unfamiliar with F.A.T.A.L., F.A.T.A.L is widely considered to be one of the worst role-playing games of all time. I first found out about it from Helsing 920. He was doing a stream with A.S.A.L, and may he rest in peace. May Emmer Prevost is Helsing 920. He passed away, for those of you familiar with his work. Way back before he passed, he was on a stream with the Salieri, and he mentioned that he and his friends were trying to figure out F.A.T.A.L. And I'm like, what's F.A.T.A.L? What is this? I'm into role-playing games, what that's all about. And he even talked about it a little bit. Basically, it's like a 1,000-page book with all sorts of racist, sexist, bizarre content in it. So I checked it out. It's free. You can find the PDF very easily. F.A.T.A.L is a role-playing game made by some yahoos who wanted to do their own fantasy role-playing game, which is fine, but specifically they had whoever these people were had absolutely no barriers on what they were going to put into the content. They specifically wanted to do an erotic game. They wanted a lot of sex in their game. They wanted their heroes running around getting laid, banging hot chicks left and right. They wanted to use a bunch of weird sex jokes and want to have perverted stuff happen. They either are racist or at least find racially insensitive humor very funny. I'm a fan of Dennis Leary and Nick DiPaolo, so I'm used to that, but your mileage may vary. It certainly comes across as pretty offensive, the way I've seen it. So it is notorious. It is by no means, in my personal opinion, basically from what I've seen and analyzed other bad games, because again, as you all know, I have a taste for crap. I love low budget films. You know, some games that are kind of low budget, whatnot, I have a great appreciation for and whatnot, you know. And, you know, I'll kind of, regardless of the fact that those games are kind of objectively bad, I kind of like to give them their, you know, I kind of enjoy them for what they are, for lack of a better term. But basically, I think F.A.T.A.L it's not the worst game, but it's the most notorious. For my money, the worst role-playing game of all time is V.T.N.L, also known as Via the New Legends. V.T.N.L is a Russian game that it's basically a generic fantasy game. It's I'm just realizing I have some crazy ass glare coming from behind me. So let me see if I can. Okay, that doesn't help. You know, you notice your problems. You notice problems in a video while you're actually shooting said video, and you just make it worse by adjusting it. Whatever. We're doing this guerrilla style. V.T.N.L is it's a Russian generic fantasy game. You know, typical sword and sorcery D&D shit. But the guy that made this game focused way more on how to roll the dice than he actually did on making the game. This guy like this to a autistic level of detail of it has to be, it comes with this little this like, you know, wooden board you're supposed to roll the dice in, and it can be only rolled on that wooden device. If it flies off, the dice doesn't count. If someone touches your dice, if you don't roll it a certain way, all these ridiculous fucking rules on how to roll the dice. And beyond that, he didn't actually even make a damn game. There's no rules, like, okay, there's, like, it's I think his entire intention for it is for the heroes to run around and kill monsters. There are shops in the game, but there's no rules for actually interacting with NPCs or regular civilians or anything like that. There's nothing. You can't kill a shopkeeper and take all his crap, which in any role-playing game worth assault, that's an option if you want to play an evil character or whatnot. Yeah, that's an option. You cannot do this in VTNL. VTNL is unplayable. It's literally unplayable, and even if you were want to play it, you could just play Dungeons and Dragons. You could just play Savage Worlds. You could just play anything. Fantasy, Anima. Anima's perfectly acceptable. Anima's anime inspired. There's plenty of other things to play other than VTNL. So, on that note, I think there are other games that are genuinely worse than F.A.T.A.L. There is, actually Jed and I were talking about it in the session. You can actually hear it. It's with a few parts that were saved. There's a game called Racial Holy War, where it's set in a not too distant future, where the premise is that there's essentially, you know, massive warfare going throughout the world and literally just ethnic groups are just waging war with one another. And the entire point is you're supposed to play a white supremacist, and you're supposed to run around and kill people of different minorities. And that's the role-playing game. And it's much more mean-spirited and coming from a hateful place. The person who made the game is literally, I think it is like a Pat Robertson type of character. It's the type of guy who's he's trying to convert people to his crazy hateful sect of Christianity. He's I think he's like a pastor. He's not a pastor. He's like a nut. He's like some kind of crazy redneck nut who I think he's a religious fanatic, but at the same time he's really just very, very hateful and mean-spirited. And it's like he made this game because he wants to shoot people, he wants to shoot black people, he wants to shoot Hispanic people because he doesn't like them. He doesn't like them in his country. You know, it's typical. It's coming from a very mean-spirited place, whereas F.A.T.A.L is maybe these guys are racist, but really they're just stupid. It's just that's really, at least that's the way the game feels. It's just like they thought this was a good idea. Another bad game would be Beast the Primordial, for those of you who are fans of World of Darkness. I'm a big fan of World of Darkness, and in New World of Darkness, Beast the Primordial was universally panned. Primarily because the type of monster you play, the beasts, are the first monster, I think, in all of World of Darkness to be completely self-aware that they are in fact monsters. I mean, Bertram Tongue in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, you know, goes to the trouble of saying, it's like, I don't want to say the Camarilla are the good guys because we're all monsters, you know. Yeah, the whole point of World of Darkness is you're playing a monster, and you know that, and there's no bullshit. You may be able to bullshit other characters or the NPCs, but yeah, you know, you and the Dungeon Master understand you're the bad guy. Beast the Primordial is a game where you play a monster that is a million times more terrible and awful and does more horrible things to regular people, basically for no reason. Whereas other monsters have some kind of justification. The vampires need to feed, like werewolves accidentally kill people sometimes. There's every group, a monster has well, you had to do this. They have some kind of excuse of more ambiguity. With Beast, it's the least justified. There's really no reason for the shit that they do. No good reason. It's especially if you take into account the whole family dinner bullshit that's in there. But the game is written from the perspective that the beasts are the good guys, and they're like a race of Mary Sues. They can do no wrong. They could rape your entire family, but it's all for a good purpose. So you should respect them for that. And their enemies, the heroes, are basically just ordinary people that realize, hey, this thing's awful and hurts people and needs a killing. Oh, the writer started relating them to men's rights activists. He started relating them to something awful. And it's an entire species that basically does horrible things and plays the victim. It then became revealed that Black Hat Matt, the guy who made the book, was a pedophile, and he actually molested a young girl, and he's been going to trial for it this year, and he has been also subsequently fired from Onyx Path. So it makes everything make more sense in context. Beast the Primordial is a game for predators by a predator. Ergo, with normal people, this just didn't feel right. So for my money, those are a million times worse. I've also on many times, especially when I want to, annoy Oxenius, is I bring up Black Tokyo. I would actually argue Black Tokyo is not only Black Tokyo is much better than F.A.T.A.L. I personally feel, and this is just my own weird perspective and my own weird taste, that Black Tokyo is legitimately a good game. Let's call it a good supplement to your D20 adventures. It's completely compatible with D20 and modern D20 and anything therein, and it's Hentai the role-playing game. You want it if you and your group, or perhaps you and a young lady, or your significant other really want to throw a tentacle banging session in the middle of your adventure. There are rules for that. It's again, erotica. I'm not opposed to erotica in a game so long as everybody at the table is okay with that and is a consenting adult. There's other things before, like the Unlawful Guide to Carnal Knowledge from 2nd edition and 3rd edition, the Book of Erotic Fantasies, and Nymphology Blue Magic, all covered very, very much in Spoonie's classic Counter Monkey episode, which is how I found out about most of those. So Spoonie, I give you a lot of shit many times, but I just want to say, bro, thank you for that. Thank you for many things. I give you shit, but it's because I love you. You're an inspiration to me, brother. So, I think Black Tokyo is actually pretty good. Mark Reinhagen actually comes up with some really interesting stuff if you're into weird shit for D20. Mind you, he goes a little too far in some places. He had the source book called Tournament of Rapists, which is a source book for rapists and sexual predators. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever need that, and I don't really see how any normal person would need that. I mean, if you're going to bring up rape in your game, okay, just have your villain, whatever your villain is, just rape a character. I don't need a prestige class for a rapist. I'm sorry. Whatever. Mark Reinhagen's the World of Darkness guy. Okay, Chris Fields. Mark Reinhagen, I'm sorry. I am very... Mark Reinhagen is the creator of the World of Darkness. Chris Fields is Chris A. Fields. Chris A. Fields is the creator of Black Tokyo and other such games. Chris A. Fields made Tournament of Rapists. I didn't mean to confuse those things. But okay, so nuts and bolts of what F.A.T.A.L is all about. F.A.T.A.L is, I would argue, is not the worst role-playing game of all time. It's probably the second worst. Or actually a distant fourth. I would definitely put V.T.N.L., Racial Holy War, and Beast the Primordial above it. I would definitely put them above it. And I'm not, and I would actually put Maid as one below it. I'm sorry, Carver, and I'm sorry, Xenius, I'm a douchebag. But that's my own personal taste. I don't care for the Maid role-playing game. That's why I said I would play it so you all could watch me suffer. it's definitely the most notorious. It's definitely the most, like, what the fuck. And there's layers to it. There's layers to it. Not only is the book incredibly racist and sexist, but it like literally there are magic items that, like, magical armor that turns you into a racial stereotype. There's, like, what's known as chink armor that, like, makes you, I think, smarter but gives you a small penis and gives you a yellow complexion and makes you a Chinese stereotype. There's, like, a negroid armor that makes you dumb and big. It makes you a black stereotype. And I think there's, like, one for Mexican. There's one for Jews too. There should be one for, like, Hispanics. I think the Hispanic one should make you really good at sneaking across borders and give you weapon proficiency with, like, a sack of oranges. I don't know. I'm just spitballing there. And I'm terrible. But there's other things like that. But there's also some really weird sex shit, like my favorite thing, and look it up on ID 4chan, the jar of jerking off. It needs to be read to believe. Yeah, there's just a lot of weird shit in there. But on top of that, the other problem with it, which I experienced here, was the character creation process. The character creation process, and the reason why I opted that what we were going to do for this, and any continued sessions of F.A.T.A.L we're going to do, is we're going to, like, record ourselves making the characters and then attempt to play the game. Because the character creation process is a hurdle in itself. That's the first game, is figuring it out. And that's what you're going to see here for the next 20 minutes. You're not going to see the whole thing, unfortunately, because, again, fuck OBS. But you're going to see us, like, starting off with it. And then I'm going to come back. Once it's going to burn out at about 20 minutes. 20 minutes after I start talking here, you're going to see our coverage there. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to, like, cover what we missed, what we didn't notice, and elaborate a little bit more. But, yeah, it requires that you do a lot of really bizarre math and calculus and all sorts of other kind of crap just to make your character sheet. It is a needlessly complex system. With not every, like, 4 ability scores, but each one has 4 sub-ability scores. In order to find them, you have to, like, roll 10 D100s in order to figure it out. It's absolutely bizarre. And it's needlessly complex and just, like, obtuse. The point where no one would run this game. No one in their right mind, unless they're doing it as a practical joke, in which case is what we're doing, would ever run this fucking game, because it's so much simpler just to pick up Dungeons and Dragons. It's so pick an edition. It's more easier to run 4E, the fabled 4E that no one can stand, myself included. It's easier to run that than to run this. It's ridiculous. There's so much better options than this. Yeah, but not only that, you don't just roll for things that make sense, like your mental stats or your charisma or your strength. No. The game specifically makes you roll for, like, the size of your appendages, in particular, your sex organs. It is important to gameplay. I'm not joking. I guess I kind of am, but, like, literally, this is a literal thing in F.A.T.A.L. It is important to F.A.T.A.L that you actually roll up the stats for your junk, or your tits, or your vagina, or your asshole. That we will get to that. We will get to that, because I did roll that up, and yeah, it's priceless, and we're gonna talk about it. But yeah, and the reason why is because sex is a big thing about this game, but also in particular rape. One of the things that the guys at F.A.T.A.L touted was that their argument, we're the most historically accurate role-playing game of all time. Because I think specifically because what they were focusing on was they wanted to make sure that their medieval setting in which the game was set was a complete shithole. It was like whereas modern fantasy, it can be it's often encouraged that you don't necessarily do a realistic medieval setting. You do, like, a fantasy. Like, modern fantasy is done with kind of modern morality. Slavery's bad. Mistreatment of minorities is bad. Mistreatment of the Jews is bad. Mistreatment of women is bad. So on and so forth. A lot of things that went down in medieval times in our own history are not necessarily okay in, like, standard Dungeons and Dragons. If you look especially at, like, the Book of Exalted Deeds, the Book of Exalted Deeds specifically talks about that in terms of good and evil, we use modern morality in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Regardless of the fact that, men and women were not equal in the past, men and women are equal in the world of F.A.T.A.L, Forgotten Realms, and other role-playing worlds. It's like races are equal. Slavery is not tolerated. It is not. It's like modern morality still stands, and that's primarily done. It's primarily done just to avoid being a douchebag to people at the table. Like, you know, if you got a female player coming in and she wants to play a female character, well, you know, a bunch of the other male characters, well, you're a female, so you're a second-class citizen, so we have to treat you like shit. It's medieval times, we can get away with that. It's to stop shit like that. It's to stop, or if people are uncomfortable with that, if you're uncomfortable with a very accurate, harsh, miserable version of the medieval setting, that's what it's there for. On top of that, just for a sense of fun and you know, wanting to, it's more like you're playing like a fairy tale, like a utopian sort of medieval setting where it's like it's knights and swords, but it's completely romanticized. The knights are noble and good, and the king is a kindly king and whatnot. It's meant for that. However, it does point out that if you want to do a more accurate version of medieval history, you're welcome to do so. It's just you're not. It encourages you not to force that on your players. But if you're welcome to do a D&D game where you are completely historically accurate, where you deal with the plague and the shitty conditions, like the rough life of being a serf, the horror of the Crusades, what have you. You are welcome to do that. It's just often it's pointed out like it's kind of discouraged, especially seeing as how you have things like clerics and whatnot and paladins who can make the bubonic plague a thing of the past. So, like, F.A.T.A.L kind of prides itself on being very harsh on terms of what it's like to be in a medieval setting. And so it's like, yeah, being a serf sucks. Being in medieval times sucks. They kind of hammer that home. But one thing they particularly focus on is the treatment of women. They focus on, like, every woman is basically a prostitute. It's like the attitude of the game is that a woman is the best job a woman could do in medieval times, and this is kind of a half-truth of reality, is you could be a prostitute. So and literally one of the jobs you can pick is whore. I'm not kidding. It's not prostitute or courtesan, it's whore. W-H-O-R-E. That is there. So, I mean, there is definitely some sexist content in here. A lot of it. And on top of that, like, rape is one of the big things that they hammer home. It's like, again, say what you will about the Book of Erotic Fantasies or Black Tokyo even. It's like, you know, it's kind of like implied, although rape's not out of the question, you know, it's rules for sex are just that, rules for sex. And so, like, in terms of like a player character experience or whatnot, or just interaction, it would hopefully be consensual. Like, F.A.T.A.L, they hammer home the rape. It's a capital R in the word rape with F.A.T.A.L. So much so that it's possible to botch one's rolls in F.A.T.A.L to accidentally start raping another character. This is a thing that can happen because this game is ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. The one nice thing I can say, and I think it got cut off in the character creation process, is that it seems like the guys that made this game loved the idea of rolling for everything. And kind of the randomness that can be implied by that. Because during the character creation process, there are multiple charts of every single stat. More stats than there ever fucking needed to be, including your dong, including your nipples, including this, that, and the other, including everything. It's like the stuff that would never even come up in a regular role-playing game. No, it's there. And I think part of that, it kind of reminded me of it reminded me of a Jackass version of central casting. Central casting is a backstory generator, which is a lot of fun, and which can be used for role-playing games. It's primarily fantasy settings, but you can kind of... I actually built Shelly in central casting from Dents, and she's in a modern setting. We had to tweak it, because based off of what was laid out in that one specific... Central casting is specifically designed for fantasy settings, but you can tweak it for pretty much any role-playing game, and we had to for that setting. But yeah, that's basically... It would certainly appear the guys that made this game really just love the idea of rolling for whatever and seeing what happens. And in terms of randomly rolling your stats, it feels like by the end of the time you're done making your character, you have this horrible caricature who's like got freakishly large hands and a tiny head and a giant cock, and that's what it's all about. But that's basically, I think, all the intro I think I need to give you for the time being for about Fatal. So I will see you in about 20 minutes from now, where I will sum up the rest of the character creation process. In a way, this might be a blessing in disguise, because again, we were using a display capture, and from what I can tell, what I was able to salvage will freeze up on certain screens, and there are naughty pictures in the book. There are naked characters. They're cartoon characters, but they're still naked. So I don't no longer have to edit that, and you no longer have to sit through me and listen to me going, all right, let me roll 10 to you 100. All right, I rolled a 572. Let me divide it by 5 and minus 1. All right, it's 104 for 20 times for the sub ability. You will be spared that. But basically, without further ado, here's me and Jed's adventures in Fatal. One more thing before I go. Jed pussied out. Jed decided just to watch me and watch me build my character in Fatal. He decided not to do that. He decided just to sit there and be along for the ride because he's a pussy. But it's what he wanted for Christmas, so there we go. Anyway, I'm done yammering. On to the show. Okay. All right, you there, man?
Sadly.
Okay. Merry fucking Christmas, folks. It is the Dreadpirate once again. This is part 2 of our Christmas special. Last we met, Auxenius played a really gay, druid character that's basically a female version of Flutterbudgets, but he went on a Merry Christmas adventure. But now I have my latest victim, Jed Head. Jed Head, how are you doing, and what did you order for Christmas?
I'm doing wonderful, making my own RPGs, playing Fallout and whatnot. And I said, hey, I never heard of this game called Fatal. And disturbingly, he already knew about it. I said, we should try understanding that game, because 90% of people can't. It shouldn't be too hard.
So I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, folks, but for Christmas, I've been kind of telegraphing this for a long time. For Christmas this year, just for Jed Head, Jed Head and I are going to attempt to play Fatal. Emphasis on attempt. I make no promises that we will get through this session whatsoever, but we're going to try to play the worst RPG of all time. Which is not true.
We'll understand. We're trying to understand the rules first.
Oh, I'm not even going to bother trying to understand the rules. I'm just going to sort of right to character creation. God, where do you want to begin with these rules? Where do you want to begin with this crap? By all means, sir. By all means, dig into that 980 pages. So, yeah. So we're gonna get started here. Now this is not the worst role-playing game of all time. This is widely considered to be the worst role-playing game of all time. The actual worst role-playing game of all time is Via the New Legends, which is a Russian game made by a guy who was more interested in how people could roll during their game than actually making a game that anybody would want to play. That's so bad it's unplayable, basically. I
wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, Fatal's up there. Fatal is definitely up there, though. It's notorious. Let's put it that way.
More correctly, there are 3 games that are regarded as some of the worst. One of them is you're a group of white supremacists chasing minorities.
Yes, ethnic, racial holy war. Yeah, racial holy war I think is actually worse than Fatal, because Fatal is offensive. This game is super racist, but it's kind of done it's not necessarily mean-spirited, it's just kind of stupid. Whereas racial holy war is coming from a really mean, horrible place. So yeah, the racial holy war I would argue was worse. Beast the Primordial is pretty bad, especially if you're a big World of Darkness fan like I am. And the fact that it was made by a pedophile for people who are essentially it's a game about predators for predators. And so it
sounds terrifying.
Yes. All right, so I'm here on page 9 of the PDF on race. And,
like I said, open it up in screen share so I can see too.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. I do have a well. Let me take care of OBS real quick, because I've got a lovely cobbled together a little screen cap. So I hope we're recording
everything just fine here tonight. It was like, it keeps on sending me these little messages to scare the shit out of me. Wait, video capture. I don't want video capture. That's not what I want. Hang on a second. Let me do screen cap. Display capture. Okay. Now America can see my screen. Yay. And turn on screen share. And you may see my screen. And there
I see a screen.
you see a screen. And now here's Fatal. All right. So there it is, race. I'm not gonna bother coming up with like a preconceived notion. I just want to see if I can get through this shit. So I'm gonna do what it's asking me to do here: race determination through a D100 roll. So that's what I'm gonna do. So to begin creating a character, this character presents information on 2 of the first considerations: race and gender. Race and gender may affect the rest of your character's creation. Open some doors and opportunities, closing others. The different races and genders, while flexible to a certain extent, are also more naturally suited for different things. For instance, a male Anakim are likely to be more successful as gladiators than female kobolds. So, alright. And I'm pulling up my magic dice here. And a D100, and I rolled a 96. So I am a subterranean troll. So, yay. Alright.
Interesting.
What should my name be? Oh, I haven't even determined gender yet, so let's hold off on that.
You should name yourself Troll.
I am Troll, the subterranean troll.
I am Troll, the subterranean trolls.
I'm Troll, the subterranean troll. Okay, we're doing that now. Yes. Save as. Troll, the subterranean troll. How do you spell subterranean?
SUBTERRANEAN.
Okay. Okay. There's nothing special on, or like little hyphens or anything on that, so we're good to go. Gender. Races may seem an appropriate term because humans and trolls are not merely different races but different species. However, various races of trolls exist, and so it is a more specific term. How do I determine gender? Oh, by the way, I think I have to have a not safe for worse picture on this one because we got dicks and tits. So,
now, obviously, we're going into the adult area.
Yeah, so that's fatal. Percent overall population, is that even a thing I need to worry about? Okay, I was not prepared to show people dicks. Format for races. What am I even looking at? Okay, well, how do I determine gender?
Oh, we just get to choose it.
Okay, like I'm a D4, odds like male, evens female. I'm a guy, so I am male. I am a male subterranean troll. All right. You know, I think I'm remiss here. I think I'm not reading this, and that's not in the spirit of Fatal. I need to read this.
Do we want to read this?
No, we don't. But you know, someone wanted this for Christmas, so someone's going to get it for Christmas. So
I meant that more just to be funny.
Yeah.
I'm already regretting my life choices.
I win. Following races are presented in the format shown on this page. For each race is described in the general terms of clean and staple information. Sub-ability modifiers. Sub-abilities are the presented in Chapter 3 abilities. Racial modifiers, sub-abilities are listed here. Sub-abilities were like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, how do I just start rolling to build, like, okay, God, all right. And now they're going to go into the Anakim, which I'm not playing. Bugbears. Elves, dark elves, humans, kobolds, ogres, trolls, hills, subterranean trolls. In ancient times, all trolls were one race. When ogres appeared, trolls and ogres battled to exterminate each other. One group of trolls was loyal to the king god of trolls, and for their loyalty he bestowed greater intelligence. A lesser troll god became angry and cursed them so that the sunlight would turn them to stone. Most died, but enough escaped below to survive. These are known as subterranean trolls. All subterranean trolls have low light vision. Okay, I have low light vision. Does that work the same way as D&D low light vision?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't have hit points, but I have low light vision, so that's good. Although subterranean trolls are few in number, the race is ancient and powerful. They want to dominate the surface world. Some speculate they could, but they do not. Subterranean trolls want to live in quietly away from races, and all of them hate noise nearly as much as the sun. Subterranean trolls worship the moon, and most venture to the surface on the night of the full moon to offer praise, show their devotion. Not worshiping the moon and are out of their home community, subterranean trolls act hatefully towards everything, including trees. Although they avoid other sentient species, subterranean trolls have been known to steal women, children, and property. However, if a human is encountered, it is possible, no matter how rare, for a subterranean troll to like them and grant riches. Nonetheless, humans use a branch of mistletoe to protect them from being taken by a subterranean troll against their will. Male subterranean trolls tend to be unsightly and malicious, while females are beautiful but exceedingly vile. The female trolls hate elves and human females who have higher bodily attractiveness or facial charisma. Whenever one is seen, the female troll must pass a drive civility check at TH24 to refrain from attempting to maim her. When tales are told among humans, female subterranean trolls are often called harlot hunters. That's what we're getting into, man. We already got some weird sex shit. Female subterranean trolls are willing to experiment sexually with large male anakim or humans. These trolls, known from experience and history that interracial offspring never occurs as a result, their willingness to experiment is due to the ugliness of male trolls. For this reason, female subterranean trolls are also called trollops. Really? Really, Fatal? Really? Subterranean trolls are expert metalsmiths, herbal healers, and sorcerers. They craft superb plate armor weapons. Plate mail is crafted so that it is as quiet as possible. Subterranean trolls prefer pole arms and usually attack the necks or lungs of their foes so that they will die quietly. This race survives on spores and water from the underground springs, but they are cannibalistic and consider a baby subterranean troll who is slightly flawed to be the finest meal. Sub-ability points. Physical finesse +5. I am just going to start writing things down because I don't know what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to start doing that.
That's probably the best.
Yeah, I'm just going to start writing shit down. So we're going to have... Can I actually highlight all this? Yes, I can. Okay. I'm going to highlight all this crap and I'll deal with it. Come on, right click. Right click. Fucker. Never mind.
You got it.
Back in the day, you could just highlight things and it would be fine. But
no, that's too much.
Oh, my occupation! I could be a whore. Don't you want to be a whore? I want to be a whore.
Aren't you a whore?
I am a whore. Okay, maybe if I could just go to edit and no, that would be too easy. Fuck it, I'm just gonna write it down. This is bullshit. It won't let me right click for some reason.
Because it's a PDF. Just do Control-C. That's how you copy.
Stop knowing more about computers than I do.
How's that knowing more? That's basic knowledge.
I know. Shut up. Control-C.
You concern me so much sometimes.
I know. Oh shit! What's happened here? I've got a YouTube.
You took the YouTube link.
I've got a YouTube link.
Because that's what you initially copied. Again, click back on the page. Don't click right there. Now, okay. Control-C at the same time.
Control-C.
Try again.
Okay, alright. YouTube!
Doing fucking YouTube.
I'm a YouTube page. Alright, fuck this. I'm just gonna type it out. Alright, physical fitness I have +5. So... strength +100. That sounds nice, but I don't know. Bodily attractiveness -50 for males. So that's for me.
Sounds good.
Hey. No. Made me sad. Kinetic -40. Whatever that is. Hand-eye coordination -20. So how about on your end? What have you got?
Hey there. Yep.
What are you building?
Stream with friends. We're trying to learn how to play F.A.T.A.L. F.A.T.A.L. It's like this really inappropriate game. It's one of the worst.
Yeah. And Spatial 10. What are you going to play? What have you landed on?
I'm mostly just looking at you.
Okay. Man, you
I'm
don't
scared
want
to touch it myself.
You don't want to start building the character, man. You don't want to. Come on. You just like, man, seize the day.
I haven't found my plastic gloves. I don't want to get contaminated.
Okay. So you just let me test the water to see if I can build this thing.
Yeah, dip your toe in there.
Okay, I'm dipping. The average height of a subterranean troll is 8 feet tall. Males tend to be ugly, while females are beautiful. Both have greenish skin. Females usually have long red hair, and most males have brown hair. I don't know what to do with that. I'm 8 feet tall. I'm ugly. Green skin. And brown hair. I'm writing it down because it might be important. I've heard legends about this game. Disposition modifiers, ethnicity.
Your hair might be important.
My hair might be important. I don't take any fucking chances with F.A.T.A.L. I don't take any chances with F.A.T.A.L. Disposition, ethnically -50, morally -50. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I find it very interesting, the language of this game. Why is ethnically I'm at -50? I feel like going on Tumblr and complaining about this game.
I would too.
Yeah. Temperament modifiers.
I'm pretty sure some people have.
Yeah. I mean, God. Temperament modifiers. Sanguine -25. To me, though, this feels like awesomely bad, though, because it's just like, I can't believe someone made this. And Choleric 25.
Details so far.
Yeah. Yeah, they have too much. Look at that page count. 980. This is almost 1,000 pages. This is like a Stephen King novel, but just not as well written. Sociality. Subterranean trolls live in communities underneath the hills. Their homes are crafted to the amazement of all others, including dwarves, though rarely seen. Home subterranean troll is a palace full of treasure. I don't really see anything there that I can actually put into a character sheet, so I'm just not going to. Language. Troll. I speak troll.
Wow, you speak troll?
Speak troll. Occupation. All right, this is the best part. All right, my occupation options are appraiser, armorer, bandit, berserker, blacksmith, bladesmith, brassmith, cook, coppersmith, gem cutter, gladiator, goldsmith, herbalist, hierophant, ironmonger, jeweler, mason, miner, pewtersmith, silversmith, slave trader, sorcerer, weaponsmith, and whore. And whore. Just gonna highlight whore, because that's what we're playing. That's F.A.T.A.L. right there. Trolls begin working
realistic.
Age 13. No, this is allegedly the most accurate role-playing game of all time. Let's see, how many options we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I feel like I should just pick horror, but I feel like I'd be cheating, so I'm going to roll a D100 a couple times. And then decide. I feel like, okay, number 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I feel like I'm going to regret this. I feel like I really should just play a prostitute, but I'm going to go with cook. I am a cook. Skills, blind fighting +5, brawling +5, direction sense +3, mangling +5, sound +3, trickery +3, and wrestling +5. I would love to find conversion rules for this crap.
That would be nuts.
Yeah, I want to see the poor son of a bitch who would try to convert this into D20. It's just like, who would take the time.
Turns out there's conversion rules right in the back of the book.
There are?
As it turns out.
Oh God. Well, you know what we have to do next time.
You're nutting in your head right now.
I am nutting in my head. We're gonna make F.A.T.A.L. characters and play them in Oxenius' D&D game.
Oh.
We're gonna play them in Esma. And he pulls some, I want to play like Savage Worlds instead. That's fine. I have conversion rules for D20 to Savage Worlds. We're gonna convert them from F.A.T.A.L. to D20 to Savage Worlds. He can't escape. He will not escape my 10-foot troll cock.
Like I
Religion.
said, what we should do is convert it into Marvel so we can make extremely sexualized evil villains.
But then Spider-Man has to deal with that. Poor Spider-Man.
He's spider sperm.
Oh, God. I worship the moon.
Then you have Captain Smegma.
My name is Troll. Captain Smegma. Racial hatred. Different races usually regard each other differently based on observed, imagined, or feared dissimilarities. Most characters prefer to associate with those who are deemed similar. Further, most characters avoid, dislike, belittle, and condemn those who are deemed dissimilar. Racial options and attitudes vary with each character. However, trends and opinions emerge among masses of characters. At the present time, the degree of racial hatred among the races allowed as characters for players may be observed in the table below. I don't know what any of these numbers mean. I don't. Racial hatred, anti-K trolls. What do these numbers mean? Individual racial hatred.
Okay. Yeah. So that was all I could salvage from the original recording. Basically, sadly, at that point, it's again we went on for another 2 hours, and it was not saved. Because OBS screwed up. I'm actually discovering, like just kind of farting around with this thing, I'm having other problems with OBS. I can't get, window capture at all, where I can get... I can't get, my camera to turn on at all, unless I'm using just the actual webcam itself. It's not working for the OBSism. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here, but OBS is basically crapping out on me. But anyway, what I am able to do is I'm able to get a display capture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to back this up with an audio recording just in case something goes wrong again. And I'm going to I'm basically going to finish up what we were unfortunately unable to cover because of the game crapping out. I want to cover the rest of the character creation that we accomplished. So the couple important things I want to point out. So. I will show that to you now. Well, folks, I'm continuing to have problems with OBS, but this time I want to uninstalling it and reinstalling it, and I believe that I just forgot to put audio capture in there, so I just recorded a whole 30-minute thing without having any fucking sound. So, yeah. Look, it's my own fault. I got no one to blame but myself, but. Yeah, it's still pretty fucking frustrating. This is the third fucking time I've had to record this fucking game. But fortunately, I did actually save the original recordings I had, so we're just going to look at that and look at what I had previously made. And I was attempting to use the voice recorder to have a backup. That didn't work out at all. But yeah, let's just take a look at what we got here. This is F.A.T.A.L, this is the cover, and... look at that cover. Look at that beautiful cover right there. That scary-ass demon adventurer guy and his giant bulge, his terrible camel toe, killing little monsters that apparently are wearing dresses, and there's a hot lady there. That's, I gotta look. I mean, everything about this game aside, I think that's a pretty awesome cover. So it's and this is basically what they intended. They wanted to have this game that had sex and violence in it. And now here we have... my character sheet, Trojan the Troll, he of the thick penis, and we'll get into thick penis in a little bit later. But as you can see, I basically just kind of threw everything together. I just threw whatever stats it gave me. I put down. I have got low light vision because it says trolls have low light vision, so I have low light vision. They have a lot of they have 20. There's 5 main stats and 4 stats each that are ridiculous. And that gets calculated later. I'm gonna go into that in a little bit. But yeah, I try to put down whatever seemed like importance. So it's okay, my base current armor is 14. It's and base life points 27. I guess that's reasonable. But what is ethicality minus 50? What's morality minus 50 or sanguine 27? I have no clue. People. Oh, by the way, I'm a cook and a whore. That's important to point out. I had to take whore because yeah. Of course I did. I rolled cook, but it's oh well, fuck it. I'm gonna be a whore. This is F.A.T.A.L. So now we're actually going to look at the book. We're going to go into a little bit more detail of. I'm going to try to cover hot lady on the cover, tied to a table. Again, this is a pervy game, folks. So, and I'm lowering the stat there because there are naughty pictures in here, and I don't want to get flagged. I am probably going to put an NSFW wording on this thing just to be on the safe side. That picture right there, yeah, that's a bunch of naked dudes. I mean, they're all fantasy races, but they're all full frontal. They're all full Monty right there. And again, it's all animated, but it went there. So here, these are the Anakim, which are like these weird angel demon things that are playable, that they make a big deal about. They go into detail about all the various races, it's not too bad. It's like another naughty picture. So we just passed by a naughty picture, and we have an attractive naked woman being whipped by someone. It's like, yeah, these guys were really going for sex pervert type stuff, or mainly, like, you could say they were going for like Gorn novel fantasy erotica, which, you know, has its place. Some people are into that. In small doses, that's fine, but it's like in the way, in the context in which they brought it, it's ridiculous. It's like, you know, and again, there are better sex role-playing games out there that are not quite as uncomfortable, if that's even possible to be believed. If you're gonna go perverted. And again, they also are going for kind of a brutal medieval setting. As you notice, it's like we have the various races doing horrible things to each other, like giants throwing each other off of cliffs. And again, and you know, this is all commendable. The art here is pretty good. That orc right there about to bash guy's head. It's an ogre. That's fine. But again, you can do this. You can do all of this, including the sex stuff, in regular Dungeons and Dragons. You don't need this overly complicated, pervy, racist book in order to do any of that. You don't need to do that. You do not need to go there, unless you're me and you're gonna try it out because you're a masochist. Here, Subterranean Troll, that's my character. The racial hatred section. So this is what's interesting about this thing is they're kind of in a slippery slope. It's like, on the one hand, I can kind of understand them wanting to address this kind of material. It's not unheard of in fantasy. Like, the elves and the dwarves don't get along in Lord of the Rings. You know, Gimli and Legolas are distrustful of each other. You know, half-orcs are not accepted by either race to some degree. Half-elves don't really belong to full elven culture or human culture. It's like these are things that are brought up and are addressed. And so that's not, like, in and of itself, it's not necessarily a bad idea. But I think the way they went about it, it's like these people really wanted to talk about race. They really wanted to talk about race. They really wanted to paint a picture of, like, everybody's racist. Everybody doesn't, like, nobody gets along with anybody. My species, the trolls, doesn't get along with anybody. They are racist against every other species, and every other species is racist against me. We only get along with other trolls, other subterranean trolls. So it's like, it's a little over the top. Racial slurs. What the fuck? Why'd that pop up? God damn it. I don't know. Hopefully it'll behave itself. Anyway, the racial slurs here are, again, this is kind of a good idea, but again, these ones are just kind of weird. But like the Anakim, human men call females hourglasses. Human men call males raptors. Human women call females demon whores. Human women call males skin loafs or stovepipers due to their manhood. Because this is the perviest game in the world. It's kind of amusing they went to this much trouble to come up with, like, racial slurs. Although I feel like some of the fantasy settings have, like, better versions than this. Bugbears, dwarves and elves and kobolds call them rugs. Humans call them buggers. Ogres and trolls call them bugs. Those both make sense. Dwarfs, elves call them gemmers, which I don't think makes any sense whatsoever. What, because they mine for gems? Humans call them alkies. Kobolds call them fatties. That's funny. That's funny. Alkies, they're drunks. That's perfect. Elves, stick, twig. It's okay. I think you can do, like, tree hugger would probably be better. Humans, bugbears call them poople, not people. Dwarves call them corruptians, which is ridiculous. Kobolds call them slavs, slaves. Ogres call them ribbers. Human ribs taste so good. That's all fine. Kobolds, spear chucker. Kobolds are called spear chuckers, holers, and shiners. And ogres are called oafs. And ogre Grungak, I don't know. I'm probably going to scroll down in a second. I hope I will. What am I ranting about right now? Jesus. Yeah, okay. Grunt geckos are known as hairy ones, and trolls are known as knuckle draggers. So yeah, that's those are all kind of amusing. They're a little silly, as a lot of this stuff is, but it's kind of, you know, again, it's not. It's a little detail. It's like all these are just kind of building a case. It's like all these are not necessarily bad individually, but it just added together, it gets ridiculous. All right, gender. So let's talk about gender here for a minute. So in Dungeons and Dragons, there's no like stat difference between playing a male or a female character. Now, if we want to split hairs, and I will perfectly happy put myself on the spot and make me the guy that's going to offend everybody. Everybody can get offended at me and get mad at me all you want. If you want to, I'll bring this up. I'll talk about this. If you want to split hairs, yes, men biologically traditionally have greater upper body mass, upper body strength than women do. Women have a greater lower body mass than men. Typically, that's not it's not sexist to say that. That's our biology. That's the way we're designed. That said, however, you know, in terms of stats, you don't give like men +2 to strength for being a dude, and you don't give women a -2 to strength for being a woman. Because if a woman wanted to, she could work out every day and all day and get a much bigger upper body mass than I will ever have. I mean, like, you know, the late great Chyna, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, was, you know, and her and many other bodybuilders before her have impressive upper body strength because they wanted it. They went for it. They went there. Anything's possible, and any one of those stats can be representative of the entire human experience. So you don't do that. But if you wanted to split hairs, I could see doing that. I could see doing that specifically for the physical strength stuff. Men would be a little bit stronger, women would be a little bit weaker, if you want to split hairs like that. But if you want to see true sexism, it's here, though, because look at this. Men get a bonus to strength, women get a penalty. Men have a penalty to attractiveness, women have a bonus to attractiveness and charisma. Men have a bonus to intelligence, including wisdom drive. Women have a penalty to intelligence and wisdom drive. Men have a penalty to the other 2 wisdom scores. Women have a bonus to the other 2 wisdom scores. So nobody should not be offended. Yeah. So according to F.A.T.A.L, if you're a man, you're strong. Men are strong. Women are weak. Men are smart. Women are dumb. Men are ugly. Women are hot. And men are irrational and have poor wisdom, where women have high wisdom. So. And again, I can kind of understand maybe the physical strength aspect if you really wanted to do something like this. Yeah, okay, you're a guy, you get a +5% strength. I could see that in a woman having a -5. I do not approve of the others. I do not approve of, like, because all these others, it depends on the individual. Each individual is unique. And so that's the thing. All right, and now I had to stop the video for some reason, so we're actually going to click off this video real quick, and I have a second one. So that's what we're going to do. Here we go. And the conclusion is here, if it'll pop. There we go. So, and we're back at it. So, yeah, it is definitely sexist content right there. It's like, I feel like that is open to the individual. That is like splitting hairs and is kind of insulting to pretty much everybody. It's like you're basically saying all men are ugly, too. And all men are irrational and you know, whatnot. It's just like nobody shouldn't be offended by it. It all depends on the person. Everybody's unique. Some people are strong. Some people are dumb. It goes back and forth between everything. So, yeah, there you go. That's, you know, that F.A.T.A.L went there. F.A.T.A.L decided to cover that and decided to address that. Now, I'm taking kind of forever on this, so I'm going to double check something real quick. OBS has me paranoid. Okay, I'm still recording, thank God. All right. So, yeah, I'm just a little paranoid after all the problems I've had, specifically with this topic. But, yeah, that's the thing. That is definitely not just more thought than should have been put into it, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of sexist. It's kind of sexist for everybody. There's nobody that shouldn't be offended by that. So I did give myself bonuses for being a man and penalties for being a man accordingly. However, because we're gonna play Fatal correctly when it comes to Trojan the Troll, we're gonna do that. So yeah. So I think I'm about to move on. I hope so. Man, I just went on and on and on forever about this. Jeez. So you're not helping me with the visual aids here, me. So, but I just want to pull up my. Oh, I think I'm about to move. Hold on. Yes, there we go. So, well, hang on. I think I went too far. Oh, I know what I was confused by. Okay. Oh, I skipped it. I definitely skipped ahead. I didn't mean to. Oh, I'm getting so far ahead. Oh, every single version of this is botched. Okay. Where are we? Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Okay, so I want to take a moment and talk about the term a deal, which is in this game. So a deal is basically their fancy term for dungeon master. Every role-playing game has one. World of Darkness, it's the storyteller. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's the director. I think it's director in Torg as well. Every single version is different. I always just call it a dungeon master. But what the fuck is a dial? What the hell is that? It's like, I guess they were trying to sound special. They wanted to have their own special version of the word, and like that is the dumbest possible thing they could have ever said. So and just why? Just for no good fucking reason. Okay, body. So yeah, here we go. We're addressing this. So yeah, they show the 3 body types: stick figure, hot, and fat. They went there. They definitely went there in this game. And I noticed, like, one thing that's interesting about this game is that you really can build a monster. Like, the way, the amount of detail that they allow you to go into in terms of your body type and whatnot, and how they actually make it a point of the game, means you can have, like, a crazily disproportioned character or creature. There is one thing, if I can give Fatal a compliment, I think that the idea of having all these options for things that you can roll them is kind of nice. It kind of reminds me of central casting, where it's like you have all these charts that you could basically roll on anything. And it's like I could just tell the people that made this game just absolutely love to like make completely random characters and roll on just every single facet of their character's existence. And that's all well and good. But however, if you look closely enough, look at how I calculate my age right there. I calculate my age, the age for a troll, by rolling a 4 D100s, dividing them by 3, and then minusing 40. That's what I do just to determine my age. Because this game is needlessly complicated. It has a needless amount of math that is just unnecessary and ridiculous. And it's just the way they made it so that you could calculate your stats or calculate just every single facet of your existence is just overly complicated and ridiculous. And it's absurd. And the absurd amount of math that they have here. I think I was touching the screen for some reason at that point. Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. There's no reason to have numbers that go that high or that ridiculous. Beyond that, it's like, all right, so I went, my character's middle-aged. I think my character's 43. I think I'm about to show my character sheet real quick. Why does that keep happening? Okay, I'm gonna have to kill my fucking goddamn computer because it keeps on fucking letting me know when VLC does something. So I've been having like a lot of problems just trying to film, guys. It's just I may have to murder this computer, and I don't want to. It's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna skip ahead. I don't know what I was rambling on at this point, but moving on. Okay, so like about like other things that you could factor in. You have your height and your weight. If you'll notice, I rolled all of these. I'm 8.3. I'm 8 feet and 3 inches tall. That's how tall I am. I rolled that. I rolled my age, which is 45.3 years old. I'm middle-aged for a troll. My weight is 256 pounds. And then finally, we have my BMI. So for those of you familiar with the military or are really into working out or whatnot, you're probably familiar with the body fat index. So this game asks you to figure out your BMI. And the way it asks you to do it is it wants you to square your height and divide it by your weight and then multiply it by 705. And I'm sure I did something wrong. I'm sure I didn't like. And this is the part of the reason why they shouldn't make this so complicated. But I'm sure I did this wrong. But basically, that absurd number that I had there is 100% what I rolled. It was. Well, I can't find it now. Where are you? Here we go. It was 2,619.82 was my BMI, which I'm pretty sure is wrong. I'm pretty sure I miscalculated it, but it's what they wanted me to do. I believe my height was actually 101 inches tall, and I did everything it asked me to do, and I multiplied by 705, and as a result, I got a BMI in the 2000s. So, and as a result, it does affect. So as a result, my bodily attractiveness is minus 5,000. As a result, and it's like, here it is, here's that, how you calculate it out. It's completely absurd, and yeah, and because of that, if we'll go up, I hope we'll go up. So yeah, my bodily attractiveness, check it out, minus 5,156.64. That's what it is. I probably should have recalculated it, but it was too complex in the first place, and I'm playing F.A.T.A.L. I don't give a fuck. And I think what we determined is that my character is like this disgustingly fat, like it's one of those like those horrible birth mother creatures from like the orc spawn from like Dragon Age, those hellish orc creatures. I'm like one of the nasty, disgusting mothers from that, but I have a very attractive face, so it's like I'm this disgusting gelatinous, big-tittied monster, but I have David Hasselhoff's face. So that's essentially the way my character looks. So yeah, that's, I'm sure I fucked that up. I don't care. I do not care. Let's see what I go to next. So then we have there's other things that you can roll on and whatnot. Again, my most attractive feature was my face. My hair was thick and wavy. That was nice. I have brown eyes, a 60-inch, reach, perfect natural vision. It says on there I can distinguish similar heraldic coat of arms at 750 feet, which makes no fucking sense. I don't know what that's about. It's weird. I have a large round nose. These are all things I can roll upon, and I did. And finally, yes, you are not kidding yourself, I have a 4-inch areola of the nipple. So I'm going to skip ahead. Hopefully I won't skip too far. You can roll stats for your body parts, and it's possible for you to hit in combat a random body part depending on the percentage that you roll. So here's how you factor this in. Like hair color, hair length, everything like that. It all factors. I think I have like my hair has a little bit of like silver in it because my character's old. Yeah, it's all detailed more than it needs to be for like how your character's hair stats out. But the thing I really want to then we have the Freak of Nature. The Freak of Nature requires that you roll a 1d1 million, which I've never seen before in anything. And it's like, yeah, I had to use a random number generator just to calculate that. It says 6 dice that are 10-sided, which it didn't make any fucking sense. And if you roll a 1, you become like you have a freak of nature. You have some kind of major deformity. And again, this could have been handled with a d20. This could have been handled with a d20 roll, just rolling a 1 on a d20, and that would have factored it in. And so a lot of the disabilities you get here, like you have like a funnel chest, you have a pigeon chest, polydactyl, and supernary nipples, and then finally a hermaphrodite. So of course in the real world, hermaphrodites are a thing. They're about 2% of the population, the total population of our species, but there are people that are born with both sex organs. And so that is a rare thing that can happen, and that's interesting that it's put there. However, I think it's really shitty to call a person... I mean, I guess technically you could argue that a hermaphrodite's a freak of nature, but I think it's really shitty to call them a freak of nature. I think it's really kind of shitty of this game to do that. That or like saying, maybe calling a transgendered person a freak of nature. I think that's really shitty. But then again, that's F.A.T.A.L. That's in keeping with the game that we have here. Yeah. So there we go. So now we're moving on. And we're moving on to the sexual features. Now, it does say that your sexual features are optional. I would argue, however, if you're playing F.A.T.A.L., why wouldn't you address the sexual features? It's like if you didn't have the sexual features, if you didn't stat your cock or your tits, then why just play D&D? So yeah, but yeah, you have stats for everything, and I I rolled them all. You can stat your areola. You can set the hue of your areola. I think I'm about to, like, jump over to it in a minute. Yeah. This is a real thing. This is a real thing you can do. It's, I think I'm just going to bop. Well, no, I don't. Yeah, he's about to go. Me's about to go. If not, there we go. There's me. Yeah. So, 4-inch areola of the nipple, light hue. I'm fat, so I have C-cup titties. I have C-cup titties with half-inch nipples. I have a 3-inch tongue. I have a 30-inch anal circumference, in case you were wondering. 30-inch anal circumference. You can fit a man's fist up my ass. Anal depth of 8.66 inches. So it's like basically throwing a hot dog down a long hallway. And yes, your eyes do not mistake yourself there. Yes, penis length 8.3 inches. Penis circumference 8.18 inches. Yes, my character has a massive cock, which is not only 8 inches long, but it's also 8 inches wide, which means, yes, you are not mistaken, my cock is a perfect square. It is a perfect square. You ever heard of Ron White? It's the cheese wheel. It doesn't just go deep, it also goes wide. It stretches you out. It's a cheese wheel. A perfect square cock. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Go out and play F.A.T.A.L right now. What other game could you have where you could basically give yourself a perfectly square cock? What do you want to do? Save a princess and fight dragons and goblins? Oh, please. This is the good stuff. Of course, my character's male, so I wasn't able to put in like vaginal depth or circumference. And then there's all this stuff that's just like stats for like ripping an orifice or ripping a hymen, which yes can definitely happen in this disgusting game. Yes. And of course, then we have the stats for the manhood. I'm not joking, folks. There are rules it's statted out. It's statted out to determine how long and how wide your cock is. I got lucky and managed to get the same measure for both. So yeah, there you go. On top of that, I had a couple other ancillary stacks, mainly my feet. My feet are 12 inches long, and you know what they say about people with big feet. They have a square cock. I have 12-inch fists. You can actually, there are stats to figure out whether you're right-handed or left-handed, but it's such like if on a roll, it's like you're so less likely to have be left-handed. You might as well just go right-handed, because I agree with Mickey. Fuck southpaws. They're good for nothing. They're good for nothing. Rocky was a southpaw. He did just fine. So you also can stat your head circumference, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So they bring up these like sort of like ancillary features here. Handedness, that's whether you're right-handed or not. And then it cuts right into pregnancy. It cuts right into pregnancy out of nowhere with a perfect symbol of what a woman is supposed to be in the universe of F.A.T.A.L. Pregnant and surrounded by children in the kitchen. But it's like, what was so bizarre about this is that it's like, it's just out of nowhere. It's just pregnancy. And it's like, this is in character creation. This is just like figuring out like how to build my character. And all of a sudden we're just talking about pregnancy. It's like, what is there a role to determine if I am pregnant? No, it's just there. This is the type of information that can be found in something like the book of erotic fantasies or the Unlawful Guide to Carnal Knowledge, but it's later in the book. It's dedicated its own section, and it's easy to snicker and joke when we talk about sex, guys. But I have to say, the Unlawful Guide to Carnal Knowledge and the Book of Erotic Fantasies are, I am gonna fucking kill you. Why do you keep on fucking notifying me that it's playing, asshole? I don't need a notification. Can you fuck off? The fuck is wrong with this goddamn thing? It's the third time I'm recording this thing. And it's just like this computer wants me to murder it. It's a really nice computer though. I don't want to murder it though. But it's like, that's really annoying. It just fucking constant stupid bullshit. But anyway, this is the type of information that you can find in you can find this kind of information in guides like that. and it's pertinent, it's appropriate, because they detail everything about sex, everything you could possibly note about sex. So, like, yeah, if a character does get pregnant and you need stats for her, and you need to know, like if she's like in a war zone, or she's like you have to, like, she has to be escorted across the countryside, or she has to fight while pregnant. All these things can come up, and the Book of Erotic Fantasies and the Book of the Unlawful Guide to Carnal Knowledge have all the information you could ever want about that. It's actually very useful, but I don't understand why it's here in character creation. It shouldn't be here right now. This is like it shouldn't be here. There's no reason to talk about it at this point. It's all about this should be at like some later point in the book at some other detail. There's no way to determine or roll whether I get pregnant, so I don't know why it's fucking there. On top of that, then we have allergies and intoxications and diseases, which, again, it's like, oh, it could be interesting if my character has... This is the type of thing you'd run into in central casting, where it's like, oh, you have an allergy. I could be allergic to asthma or dust or eggs, but there's no way to determine whether or not I have an allergy. There's no roll I would do just to, like, oh, by the way, you have an allergy. No, it's just listed here for some reason, and it keeps going, and it gets weirder. We talk about intoxication by alcohol, intoxication by marijuana. Literally, marijuana. It's about to come up. Marijuana. Psychedelic mushrooms. Why is this here? This is type of information. These are kind of like little things that would be fine in a role-playing game, but should be later in the book and detailed later. Why is it here in character creation? It has nothing to do with making your character or setting up your stats. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's here. The same people that made the Unlawful Guide to Carnal Knowledge also made the Complete Guide to Alcohol, which I also recommend checking out. It's very good, and it also has appendices that deal other things like drugs. There's a recipe for gruel at the end of it. There's guide to comedy. There's guide to bowling. It's a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend checking that out. Can we go into diseases? Again, this is all stuff that, this is great. This is good information to have. Why is this here? This shouldn't be at this point. And again, this woman has Tourette's apparently, and she's cursing and common, I guess. I don't know. But it's like, this is all information that's good, but why is it there? It shouldn't be there. So then we have the main abilities, which, again, there are 5 key abilities, and I'm going to show them now. There are 5 key ability scores. There are physique, charisma, dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom. And beyond that, there are 4... I screwed things up. There are 4 sub-abilities. So physical fitness, strength, bodily attractiveness, health, facial, vocal, connect, rhetorical, hand-eye coordination, agility, reaction, enunciation, language, math, analytical, spatial, drive, intuition, common sense, and reflection. So you basically have 20 stats. 20 stats. There is no reason whatsoever to have 20 stats in a role-playing game. Dungeons & Dragons did it perfect. 6. Strength, Dex, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. Hell, you're a World of Darkness person. Hey, Intelligence, you got like 3 per asset. 3 physical stats, 3 intelligence stats, 3 social stats. That's it. That's all you need. You do not need any of this crap. And a lot of this stuff, like a strength, like my strength, the physical fitness, and all this stuff, and bodily, all that can be factored under strength. My health can be factored under Constitution. All this crap, rhetorical, and all that could be factored under charisma. All this can be factored under dexterity. This could all be skills. I could have a set intelligence, which gives me a bonus, but these should all just be skills, like math skill, language skill, analytical skill, and none of this needs to be here. None of this needs to be here, but you have to roll it. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and show you how we roll. So the way you roll your stats is you roll 10 D100s, divide them by 5, and minus them by 1. I don't know why you minus them by 1, but you minus them by 1. And it also wants you to truncate it. You're going to get decimals when you calculate this out. It wants you to truncate your decimals and basically just get rid of the remainder. So all in all, like, rolling up your stats takes about 15 minutes. This was actually kind of the worst part of actually building the game. I was sitting there calculating all this out on a calculator. Jed actually left the room. There's no amount of high numbers whatsoever that could possibly lower my bodily attractiveness or raise my bodily attractiveness, higher than 5,000, negative 5,000. But yeah, and it's just all of this could have been condensed down to 6 basic stats with numbers under 20 or under 10. and which could effectively communicate how powerful my character is. That would be a much better way to go about it. But no, that's the part of the problem with Fatal, is just basically calculating your character stats is a nightmare unto itself. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. There's a couple other things that are that were here that were kind of worth noting. At this point in time, me and Jed just kind of got tired. Jed in particular, I think, just kind of lost it. Jed pussied out, by the way. Jed actually did not roll up a character. He was allegedly so traumatized by the entire experience that he was just gonna watch me do it. So he pussied out. But whatever, it's his Christmas gift. So there we go. But anyway, so we kind of got tired, and so mind you, I would like to point out we have not finished the character creation process. There is more. There is more shit to go into. And that's the thing. That's what I was worried about going in. That's why I stated, if we're gonna do Fatal, we're gonna role play. Our first session is just gonna be us calculating our stats alone. That's our first mission, is just calculate calculate our stats. And that's what we need to do. We just need to, the entire session would just be us recording us calculating our stats, and that's what we did. We just laughed at how ridiculous this is. Someone made this, guys. Someone made this role-playing game. They thought it was a good idea. They thought it was a good idea to put their smut out there and to make terrible racist jokes and sexist jokes as part of their game. And again, it's unlike Racial Holy War, which comes from a very mean-spirited place, this is still kind of shitty, but it feels like this feels like a so bad it's good game. It's funny. It's humorous, and that's something I can say positive about it. But yeah, so that's Fatal. And the thing is, though, Jed was very specific in his birthday request. We're not giving up here. We're not done. We were just done for the night. We are going to finish my character, and he's going to roll a character too. He's doing it. We are going to finish rolling our characters in another session, and we are going to attempt to role play Fatal. So Fatal is now an official campaign that we are going to run, and that is his Christmas gift. So that's all for now. This has been the Dreadpirate. We are it's close to New Year's, so shut up. We're close to New Year's, so we're almost done with the holiday season. But basically, we have a couple more holiday fun to come. We will be fighting the Tarrasque at some point in time as part of our Christmas celebration. And Malmoto might also be having a Christmas request as well. I think he wants us to run Maid. And personally, as bad as Fatal is, I personally like Maid even less. I'm sorry, Carver. I'm sorry, Exenius. I know you love that game, and I'll play it for you guys since I screwed you guys over the last time you guys tried to play it. But I don't care for Maid, but I will play Maid because it'll be funny to humiliate myself. So this is the Dreadpirate saying, stay scared.